Although I wish this topic was a joke, it's not. On March 13, 2017, Jordan Peterson uploaded the 8th part of his Maps of Meaning lecture series on his YouTube channel. Near the end, he begins talking about helical shapes as depicted in ancient artwork from all over the world, and it quickly gets interesting.
This is from China. So this is Fuxi and Nuwa. I think I've got that right. But I just love that representation. It's so insanely cool, this representation. So you see the sort of the primary mother and father of humanity emerging from this underlying snake-like entity with its tails tangled together. I think that's I really do believe this, although it's very complicated to explain why. I really believe that's a representation of DNA. So, and that representation, that entwined double helix, that is everywhere. You can see it in Australian Aboriginal art, and I'm using the Australians as an example because they were isolated in Australia for like 50,000 years. They're the most archaic people that were ever discovered, and they have clear representations of these double helix structures in their art. So, and those are the two giant serpents out of which the world is made, roughly speaking. It's the same thing, you see that in the staff of Asclepius, which is the healing symbol that physicians use, although usually that's only one snake, but sometimes it's two.
Yeah, the claim seems pretty outlandish. It's just dropped in the lecture all of a sudden, and the context does little to explain what he means. And when I first heard this, I actually gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought that he meant that in the modern day, we assign the same representative meaning to these works of art that we do to representations of DNA, or something along those lines at least. But as I researched further, I found out that wasn't the case. I found another clip of Peterson addressing this issue on his channel, this time in part 4 of his biblical series, posted on June 19, 2017. Now, we'll get to the DNA claim, but I've got to address the weirdness that precedes it.
Earlier you showed a picture of Fuxi and Nuwa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Osiris, and in your Maps of Meaning lectures, you also explained that cultures around the world have these twin snakes that are...
Yeah, they're everywhere, man.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that you believe this is a representation of DNA.
You would bring that up too. Jesus, what is it with you guys tonight? Yeah, well, yeah. No, I wouldn't say I believe that. I have my suspicions that that might be it. Yeah, because believe is too strong a word, but those representations are everywhere.
Did you notice the backpedaling there?
I really do believe this, although it's very complicated to explain why. I really believe that's a representation of DNA. No, I wouldn't say I believe that. I have my suspicions that that might be it. Yeah, because believe is too strong a word, but those representations are everywhere.
I don't know, maybe he thought about it since and changed his mind a bit, or maybe when asked about it on the spot, he saw good reason not to hold closely to the claim. Once you hear his sources, I think you'll understand why he would do that.
But those representations are everywhere. And read this book. This is a good one. Oh man, now I have to remember the book.
Is it just me, or has anyone else had experiences with Jordan Peterson fans where someone who accepts one of Peterson's points is challenged or questioned, and they don't provide an explanation for themselves, but instead demand you read an entire book or watch an entire lecture series to even be able to begin to understand them? Is Peterson himself influencing them to do that? Look, I'm all for recommending resources in order to more fully explain one's beliefs, but if that's all you do when asked to explain one of your claims, I'll seriously question your credibility if you can't explain it, and your integrity if you just choose not to. These are some of the basics of being a good communicator and educator. Yes, some ideas are very complicated and take a while to explain well, but if you can't walk someone through it, you're not ready to communicate about it publicly. I honestly lean toward the idea that Peterson could explain this if he so chose, and I think the reason why he chose not to becomes clear upon examination of his sources.
Read this book. This is a good one. Oh man, now I have to remember the book. It's by an anthropologist who went down to the Amazon jungle and experimented intensively with ayahuasca. I think it's called The Cosmic Serpent. I think that's the name of the book. You could read that. There's another one called Breaking Open the Head, which is also pretty damn interesting. And there's something to those books. I mean, The Cosmic Serpent kind of goes off on a bit of a tangent, I would say, although Breaking Open the Head it's better. It seems to stay more constrained and tight, but we don't know the limits of our perception, especially under certain conditions. And I think people have had intimations of DNA as the cosmic serpent forever.
Jesus Christ. So I took a look at the books Peterson mentioned, and it turns out that Cracking Open the Head is a journalist's ideas about consciousness-expanding substance use and modern shamanism, somewhat related to the topic at hand. The other book, The Cosmic Serpent, though, is where Peterson's claim definitely comes from. In the book, an anthropologist travels to Peru, does ayahuasca with the natives, and proposes the idea that thousands of years ago they took hallucinogenic drugs to tap into an innate knowledge of DNA seated deep within their brains. The Peruvian natives also still do this to obtain medical knowledge to use toward treating the sick. But has this method ever been tested, you ask? Has the process those natives used to acquire new knowledge been subjected to controlled and repeated experimentation? Well, no, but that's only because Western scientists don't take it seriously and are trying to suppress the truth about shamanic medicine so Big Pharma can keep stuffing their pockets. All of this is speculation in order to simply explain the fact that
it's very strange that these double helixes exist in so many places and that they're often utilized as healing symbols with the snake.
You know, come to think of it, does this remind you of any other fringe claims regarding ancient art and architecture?
In 1571, the Spanish came across there and they found rocks with strange animals on them. They were carved in these rocks. About 500 of the stones show dinosaurs with people. Now, why would there be dinosaurs and people to carve together on these stones 2,000 years ago? This one shows, Dennis Swift has this one. He shows circles on the side of the dinosaur. Here's one from my museum. Shows a dinosaur holding a guy by the head.
Researchers like Eric von Daniken believe in the ancient astronaut theory, which states that aliens visited Earth's civilizations in the remote past and were worshipped as gods. As evidence, these theorists point to enigmatic drawings and carvings found across the world. These images are thought to resemble modern-day descriptions of UFOs and aliens, but it doesn't stop there. For centuries, modern man had no idea how older civilizations built marvels like the pyramids of Giza or Machu Picchu. Researchers like Georgios Tsoukalos believe that extraterrestrials helped construct the pyramids.
These are all the same kind of unnecessarily complex and outlandish explanation for relatively simple phenomena. Evangelist Kent Hovind proposes that young Earth creationism is true and that dinosaurs once lived alongside man in order to explain dinosaurs depicted in supposedly ancient art. The meme Legends from Ancient Aliens propose that super technologically advanced extraterrestrials built the pyramids in order to explain the fact that pyramids have been found all over the world, and Jordan Peterson proposes that hallucinogenic drug trips allow people to tap into innate medical knowledge in their brains in order to explain the common appearance of snakes forming helical structures in ancient art. Meanwhile, in reality, the art Hovind is examining is fake. A pyramid is simply the best way to make a stable stack of rocks, and humans on every continent but Antarctica have witnessed snakes mating.
That representation, that entwined double helix, that is everywhere. I really believe that's a representation of DNA.
Occam's razor, selecting the answer to a problem which makes the fewest assumptions, was completely ignored here. You'd think that with all of Peterson's education, he'd utilize that tool when it's appropriate, but I guess he chose not to. In doing so, he espoused some quantum healing Vedic spiritualist level woo. You just went full Deepak Chopra, Peterson. Never go full Deepak. But wait, if you keep rolling the clip, he says he's just speculating.
Those are speculations. I'm operating at the edge of my understanding.
Yeah, I'm glad he finally said that when questioned, but it doesn't change the fact that he originally included that claim without further explanation within a science lecture. What other points in his lectures is he simply guessing in a dreamlike way about? Even before looking into all of this, I already found the level of devotion to Peterson alarming, although I do understand that kind of devotion tends to grow around many controversial figures on impactful topics. But now that I know Peterson's propensity for pseudoscience, I think there's even more reason to be alarmed at his popularity. In my research, I found that wherever this topic was being discussed, his fans defended his stance with points like, you really need to read these books in their entirety to really understand this, and there really is something to this, although it's quite complicated to explain here. I'm honestly kind of freaked out about the level of parroting I'm seeing here. I'm not saying that this behavior is exclusive to Peterson fans, but wherever it exists, I think it needs to be challenged or else ridiculous ideas are allowed to propagate without ever being fact-checked. By the way ridiculous ideas are challenged is extremely important. If we don't like someone's ideas and don't want them around, we have to respond to them publicly, demonstrating our ideas to be somehow superior. If we try to suppress or forcibly deplatform those we disagree with, we effectively create martyrs out of them.
I've figured out how to monetize social justice warriors. If they let me speak, then I get to speak, and then more people support me on Patreon. It's like, that's annoying. It's like, goddamn capitalist, he's making more money off this ideological warfare. It's like, okay, fine, let's go protest him. So they go protest me. And then that goes up on YouTube. And then my Patreon account goes way up. So it's like, they don't know what to do.
Notice how Peterson says he gets more money when his speaking engagements are protested, when people try to shut his talks down. As a content creator, I'm all for his ability to make money on what he's creating. But if you happen to want to defeat his ideas, you don't want to be the cause of his increase in funding. Engage him honestly in a public forum. Don't just slander or say he doesn't deserve a platform, because at the very least, it seems that will only turn out badly for you. In closing, allow me to say that I'm not addressing Peterson as a whole here, although I'm not really a fan. I'm obviously not addressing all his ideas, just the ones brought up specifically here. I don't think the controversy surrounding him is black and white, and I hope that viewers on all sides refrain from putting any words in my mouth. Thanks for watching, bucko. I've been Drew of Genetically Modified Skeptic. Special announcement, I finally have a Facebook page. Link in the description and in the comments. So drop me a like there, and if you ever mention me on Facebook, go ahead and tag the page. As always, praise be unto Adam, my top patron and personal Lord and Savior, for making this video possible. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, check out my Patreon, follow me on Twitter at GMSkeptic, and until next time, stay skeptical.